Nurse.org and Major League Sports teams are honoring nurses with discounted game tickets and once-in-a-lifetime experiences. From throwing the first pitch to riding the Zamboni to on-court recognition, join the fun. Visit nurse.org/nurse night to find a nurse appreciation event near you and grab your discounted tickets today.
Welcome to Club Nurse. I'm Colton Lord, your host. By you being here today, it shows me that you are someone who wants to learn, grow, laugh, connect, and just let your emotions flow. We are here to share real stories and hear real life experiences from real people. You are not alone in this, and Club Nurse is here to show you that. Don't forget to follow the show and share today's episode with someone you love. Now, let's dive into today's conversation. Welcome back to the Club Nurse podcast. My name is Colton Lord, your host. I have with me today Tina, known online as Mama Nurse Tina. So Tina is a labor and delivery nurse, a perinatal nurse, and a breastfeeding specialist based out of Canada, which, you know, I've had quite a few Canadians on this podcast already. So
we're good humans, I promise.
I love it. I love it. So
yeah.
Introduce yourself to us. What is it that you do? You're all over social media. Like I said, Mama Nurse Tina everywhere. Yeah. I was kind of looking into your stuff today and I saw your website bump to Latch. So kind of tell us what that is and what you do and what your goal is with social media and your message.
Yeah. So I think the overall goal for a lot of us is just to make that really good quality healthcare information accessible to everybody, especially in maternity, because in the States, there are like maternal deserts where people just don't have access to care in and around their area. So I think it's great, like no matter who you are, where you come from, what you want to do with your life, that information is there for everybody to consume. So I think that's kind of the reason why I did it. And then it's just been so rewarding because you can reach one person when you're like, when you're at the bedside. Well, I mean, in emergency, obviously more than one. I did the thing, but like with labor and delivery, it's one person at a time, and that's lovely and wonderful. And I would never stop bedside nursing because I think that is so special. But I think with online presence, you can reach and help so many more people. So when I go and do conferences or I go and do events, people will come up to me and they'll be like, "You helped me with X, Y, and Z," or "Thank you so much for everything you did was so good for my pregnancy." And like that's when you're like, that makes it worth, because it's like, it's a big job. Like it's not, I don't know, some people think you just hit post and you're done with your day, it's a whole thing. It's all day, every day. Like it's a full-time job for me.
And you pour a lot of yourself into it. And then not only that, but like you're putting your energy out there, you're putting your face out there, you're putting it's a very vulnerable thing to do because you also are opening yourself up to every single person who in the world who has access to a phone.
Who has a keyboard.
Totally. They are having access to saying, you are this. And it's not all good.
Yep. Somebody once told me I have a hateable face.
Yeah. You're like, thank you.
That's so nice.
Yeah,
it has nothing to do with what I'm talking about here, but thanks for your opinion.
I just hate your face. Yeah.
Right? Because nobody on the street would walk up to you and just be like, "I hate your face." And you're like, "What?
No.
What?" Okay.
And that's the thing. The things you read on there, you're like, you would never say that to me if you actually saw
Never in a
me.
million years.
But your
Facebook is the worst. You'll agree? Facebook is the worst.
The worst.
I usually post and dip because I'm like, woof, it is. Yeah. You got all sorts of people, usually kind of an older generation, but they just and it has nothing to do with what you could post the most beautiful, lovely, helpful, and they'll just come in and be like,
it's the thing you're saying is like your face. Yeah. No matter what you're doing. Yeah, and I've got to the point where I used to be a lot more interactive in comments, and now I'm like, I just it like triggers something in me, and I don't know like exactly why or what, but I have a really hard time with it because I don't know if I just internalize what they say, then I believe them, and then I just spiral on that. But yeah,
a little bit. Everyone says like you have to have a thick skin, but I think like even the thickest skin, sometimes it's just in one spot, just gets worn out. It's like a little entrance spot. So. That's really tricky, and it does suck a lot out of you, and then you have to think like, oh my god, like is what I said wrong, and you're like like you gaslight yourself into thinking, oh my god, did I do something wrong here? And you didn't. You just can't please everybody. So so it's a full-time job, and but I mean, like I think that the reward outweighs all of those things because you're truly making a difference in people's lives, and people always say like, how's it going? And I say, I'm literally living my best life. Like I have 4 kids. So I sort of put everything on hold for like a solid 10 years. I was either pregnant or I was breastfeeding or they were really little. My husband's an emergency room physician. So he works shifts. So he was like, understandably the guy that went to work and I was at home. So for a long time, I just sort of had to push pause on it. And then we've just hit this stride in the last couple of years where it's like I'm literally doing everything I've ever wanted to do with my life and my career, and it's just been like the best ride over the past couple of years.
Yeah. Just, I guess, clarify, is Bump to Latch like your, like, I guess,
Yeah.
like business
Yeah,
as to like what you do? Like,
that's my business name, and then Mama Nurse Tina is an entity of that business, and
mm,
so on my website, I've also developed courses, which has been a dream as well. So now I have 3 courses. So I have a prenatal course, a breastfeeding course, and a baby care course. So that's really, really nice for people that just want to have that info kind of right there. If they're struggling, they're like, "Oh, I'm just going to click into that module." That was really, really fun to create. That again was a ton of work. Yeah, you're like by the end of it, you're like, I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. I'm just like, what am
yeah.
I filming today? So, and then there's the editing and stuff that goes into it. So yeah, Bump to Latch is where it's like a central hub. I have like my news appearances, my articles, and then the courses, and then of course all the socials are linked there as well. So
Hmm.
it's been nice to have that done. I cannot take credit though. I hired somebody, Madison. Shout out to Madison.
Shut
I'm
medicine.
not a website human. One time in my life, I tried to build one and it
Yeah.
was a disaster.
Yeah. Same.
So
Same.
yeah, I was like, this is the struggle of me to do this on my own is not worth my mental. So I just was like, you're the expert, you do the thing, and
That's
she just
actually
crushed it.
hilarious you say that, because I literally today I don't even remember exactly how I came across like a website I created
Yeah.
when I first was starting content, like first starting, and it was not even
Was it
nurse
a
related.
MySpace website?
No, 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 not that. I'm sure I could find that somewhere too. But like,
Oh
it's like
man.
literally, I'm not even gonna say it because I don't want people to Google it. But my
Yeah.
website is still up there, and I'm like, oh my god, I need to figure out how to first of all get this down, or just like
Yes.
fix this, because this is very cringy. But you got to start somewhere, right?
You
And
do have to
that's
start somewhere. And I think content creators like will look back at some of the earlier stuff we did and we're like, "Hey, yeah,
mm,
yeah." Because
mhm,
you just I think you develop just a better representation of yourself as you create content. And
yeah,
I think you find a way to streamline it and edit it. And like
mm,
I have just started doing stand-up comedy. You came to a show.
mhm,
Thank you. Thank you
yeah,
so much. But it's very similar there too. Like you start off with a concept of what you think is funny, and then you have to like edit to the point where like it's all funny. Well, most of it is funny all
mm,
of the time, sort of thing. And I think content creation is like that as well. We started somewhere, and what we were doing was great. Like the information's amazing, but I think the delivery, you sort of edit it and
yeah,
tweak it to be like, oh, this is where we're going. And then like times change too. Like it used to
mhm,
be. You used to throw a piece of cheese on the wall, and that was all you needed
yeah.
to do to make a difference in
Yeah.
the
And
world.
you evolve. And I mean, like you're saying,
Yeah.
like as you evolve and how you're changing, like also the world is changing very fast. So,
Mhm.
the way people consume things, and,
Mhm.
like it's not that stand up comedy is new, but it's just like,
Yeah.
there's just that's a new like medium for you to kind of just like, get out there, and you are very funny. And I was actually going to talk about your stand up comedy a little bit later, but since you brought
Mhm.
it up,
Mhm.
we'll just kind of bring everybody into that scene where I went and watched your show
Mhm.
in Vegas. We went down to we were on Fremont Street, and
We're in the hole in the wall and a hole in a wall.
yeah, and we brought the group of healthcare workers from the health
Mhm.
conference that we were there attending. I was the very lucky one to get stuck right in the front in the spotlight for to be the
With your wife, the people kept trying to marry you off to her.
yes, yes. I was the butt of everyone's joke. Just kidding. It
Yeah.
wasn't that bad. It was funny. But
I mean, I was
how
laughing. I got maybe
yeah.
you were laughing. I was laughing.
I was laughing. It was funny. It's okay. I can handle that. That's fine. How did you get into stand up comedy? Like, when did you decide I'm going to try this out, how's that going?
You know what? It's like I always say I feel really blessed because a lot of comedians and like comedy is not new to me. Like I've always loved comedy, dated a comedian,
Mm,
spent a lot of time in comedy clubs. But I feel blessed because a lot of these comedians are out there like they're working so hard to make their mark in the scene, and it's like their blood, sweat, and tears is going into it, and they are working a day job, they're having a nap, then they're going out like late night at the clubs, waking up, doing it all over again. And so I feel extremely blessed that it's like I love doing it, and I would love to see it be really successful.
mhm,
But I'm blessed enough to be like this is a really fun hobby for me because it's not my sole financial income.
mhm.
So I think it's cool to be at a point in my life where I have built enough of a background and a career that I can rely on and be able to go out and do this. And it's been
Mhm.
so cup filling and so fun. And people say to you all the time, they're like, "You're funny. You should do stand up comedy." But I think there's a big difference between being funny in a conversation and
Right.
being funny when
Totally.
everyone's just like, "Okay, make me laugh."
Staring at
And
you.
you're
Yeah.
like, "Oh shit!" Like
Yeah.
it's the lights are on. So I think it really is a skill and a craft. I've learned that like the comedians that I love and thought were hilarious, I respect them tenfold now because of
Mhm.
how I know
Yeah.
how
It's hard.
difficult it is to get up and be successful at it. So it's been really, really cool. It's
Mhm.
yeah, it's been a blast. So I hope it's successful. It's been
Yeah.
awesome.
And like I said, I mean, kind of going back to like people's attention spans. I mean, it is
Yeah.
hard to be up there and like keep people like engaged
Mhm,
in what you're saying and keep them
mhm.
laughing. And then I just imagine like myself up there, I would be so in my head, like, are they just pity laughing? Like, is this real? Like, do they actually think I'm funny? Like, that's where my brain would go.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and it is a skill too to be able to like bomb and bomb gracefully. I would say
you just be like,
like there. I think there are some comedians where if they it can come off. We saw it how it can come off
mm,
the rails where you're like, yeah, it's just not, it's not hitting, and so.
yeah,
I think
yeah,
it takes a fine-tuned art to be able to take that and either make something funny out of it or to learn that
mhm,
you can read the room and pivot and
yeah,
that's obviously not what's hitting. And I
yeah.
think that's a skill because there's some comedians that'll just like keep on with the joke even though it's like completely gone sideways and everyone is kind of clocked out. So yeah,
Yeah.
I'm learning a lot, like a lot.
Yeah.
And it's a lot harder than it looks. And so
I
these comedians
imagine.
that get up there and it seems so easy breezy conversational for them. You're like, wow, like
Yeah.
that has taken you a long time
Oh, yeah.
to get there.
Yeah. I think out of, all of the entertainment and the arts, I feel like, and that's my personal opinion, that comedy has got to be one of the hardest things to
Yeah, you would not
master.
be the only one to say that. Yeah,
Yeah.
for sure.
So congratulations to you for taking
Thank you.
that on. If anybody out there ever sees that Tina is performing, I do highly recommend watching. It was very entertaining. It was funny. So let's kind of go back to
Mhm.
what you do, your day job, your labor and delivery.
Yep.
I was watching some of your content. I was watching your YouTube channel. I wanted you to kind of give people. I watched the one where you were talking about the like essentials to bring
Mhm.
to the hospital when you are expecting to deliver. And I
Mhm.
thought this was a really good thing, important thing to talk about for expecting parents. And
Mhm.
I mean, for me personally, first of all, I don't have a uterus, so I will never experience this. I am gay, so I
Mhm.
don't, will not get somebody pregnant, and I don't want kids anyway. So all of those to
You're a
say, I
triple
will,
threat. You're like
yes,
hard pass.
hard pass on that.
Yep.
But I do think it's very important for people
Mhm.
to have this information. I can imagine it's a very, very hard and scary moment to be like, especially a first time parent. And you're like, oh
Mhm.
my God, what the hell am I about to get myself into?
Yep.
So those little things, those little tips of like, what should you bring? I'm a
Mhm.
chronic overpacker. I would probably bring my whole house with me. So what do you recommend people bring with them to not overwhelm themselves and to give them just like, this
Yeah.
is what you need?
It's hard because again, social media, I feel like it's a double-edged sword. So it's either really helpful or it takes you down a rabbit hole that you like didn't need to be in. And I
Hmm.
think the hospital bag packing videos, like it's oversaturated because everybody has their opinion on what's important. I'm a minimalist when it comes to it because I think in the scope of your timeline of being pregnant, birth, postpartum, like the time you're in the hospital is such a small snapshot. It's a really
Hmm.
important snapshot, but it's a
Hmm.
small snapshot. So if you can streamline it so you don't have to lug up like 18 bags. I called my husband a Sherpa because he just like was schlepping things everywhere and every time we go anywhere. So I always say, like, just think about the minimum. Like, you're not going to need a breast pump unless you're planning on exclusively pumping. And
Hmm.
that can take up a big footprint in your bag, like an actual breast pump. Even the wearables, I mean, the package is still big enough that it's going
But
to take up space that you
the
could use for something
hospitals
else.
the hospitals
So,
have those though.
yeah, I always say
Yeah.
like, like you don't need it. And the hospital has the best pumps.
Yeah.
So they always say like, by the way, hot tip, hospital grade suction is not a regulated term. So if you
Oh,
ever hear anybody in healthcare talking about this pump is hospital grade
it's not
suction,
really,
that's no, that's just a marketing term.
huh?
But like hospitals have a hospital grade suction breast pump.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you can't buy better than this. So you don't need to bring yours in. They will have it if you need to
Are they
pump.
all
And
the same, like, machine, like the ones on
the
wheels,
one
a
on the
little, like,
stick,
yellowy looking? Is it yellow? I'm
Medela
colorblind, but it
has it
looks like
kind
it's
of
yellow.
cornered. It's the yellow one that yeah,
Okay.
most
Yeah.
people do the Medela.
Yeah.
So yeah, we roll it in on a stick, and it's anyway. So I always say don't bring that. Again, you don't need breast pads unless you're using like a nipple cream, like because
Mhm.
your breast milk in the beginning is going to be minimal. It's colostrum. It's there from pregnancy, but you're not going to be sort of like spraying milk out when your baby first comes to the point where you're leaking. So I say breast pads. Only put them in if you're putting a cream on there. I always say you're going to need postpartum supplies. This is interesting though. In talking with labor and delivery peeps from the States, it sounds like you guys supply moms with a lot more stuff than Canada does, as
Okay.
well as a hospital bill. But
I was gonna say that's
so
probably because of how much
yeah,
you're being
right. You're paying
charged,
like $80 for
but
Canadermalost, and you're like, okay, super. Those are the
yeah.
most expensive tux you'll ever buy.
Yeah.
So I would say check in with your hospital and see what they bring because you can save yourself space if you're going to just be taking it home from the hospital anyway. But I always say like think about your bits. So you need like a diaper or a pad, and then some stuff to make it feel better. So a witch hazel and a numbing agent. Boom, boom, boom. 3 things for your super pad. Think about your boobs. They need support after. So throw a nursing bra or a nursing tank in there because they're going to just feel different after you give
Mhm.
birth. It's hard to
Yeah.
explain, but
Yeah.
they want
I mean, it
support.
makes sense.
Um,
Yeah.
people will pack a ton of stuff for baby, but I just want to like cue people that skin to skin time with your baby in that first 24 hours is super, super important. I mean, beyond that, but I always say, like, if you can be naked in your hospital room with your baby, that's the best way to be. So I would say, like, bring a pair of PJs that buttons up so that you can easily access it, or just a robe. And then if people come, you just put your robe on. But otherwise, you're just kind of laying there with your baby all naked. And also, your baby doesn't need 800 clothes because they should also be naked and doing skin to skin. So I would say, like, a going home outfit for baby, a going home outfit for you, which for me was my PJs that I walked in because I'm so minimal. I'm like, this is good enough. And then like a nursing bra, some stuff for your bits. You need some stuff for your nips and your bits.
I love that.
And then, like your camera. I always say you can bring in a pillow from home if it makes you feel comfortable, a nursing pillow if you think you're going to use it. But like, think about the fact that you're going to be there for like 24 hours. Most of the things you need can be supplied by the hospital. So you're just going to bring in the little extras that you think are super important.
Okay. And when should this bag be packed? Is this something that
don't wait. I see a lot of people that are like, I was going to pack it tomorrow. Today was my pack. Yeah. I always say have it packed by at minimum 38 weeks. I would say 36 is good for me. And what I did is I put everything in there that I thought I needed. And then I just left a little note on top for the stuff that I use every day, like your toothbrush, your minimal face supplies, your makeup, if you used it that day. Then if you're going into the hospital and you are like really in a hurry, giving birth, then your husband or your partner will know sort of what to put in there, because sometimes when people come in and their bag isn't packed, and they'll be like, hey, I need you to get this, this, and this. And they come in with like a thong and like you're just like, oh boy. So if you have a very descriptive, simple list to be like, this needs to be added, zip it up and bring it in, then you're good to go.
Hey nurses, looking for exclusive discounts? Nurse.org has you covered with deals on everything. Save big on the essentials you need to excel in your career. Don't miss out. Visit nurse.org/discounts for the latest discounts made just for you.
And so as somebody who is a specialist in breastfeeding, I know this is always a very hot topic. What is your take on, breastfeeding versus formula? Is it,
breast is best, fed is best.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever.
I am in the camp, like, I like information, but I also like, I think it's such a sensitive and already a hard time for parents that I don't like pressure.
Right.
So I do subscribe to fed is best in a way, but I do like people to know about the benefits of breastfeeding.
Sure.
I like them to know, about why it's good for your baby, but I also want them to know, like, if it's not for you or it's not working out, then
okay.
I mean, you need to feed your baby, and that's stressful. Like, I can remember being at home with my first baby, and that was the baby that it took my breast milk the longest to transition, and he's doing everything right. He's latched beautifully. He's sucking all the time. And my milk was just taking its time, which is very normal, but you feel stressed out when your baby is screaming and crying and you're like, is he getting enough milk? I don't know. Like, what should we do? I called my sister crying, like, oh my God, can I run out of breast milk? And she's like, no.
Yeah.
So I think in those situations, it's good to know the information, but it's also good to know the alternatives. I do really like people, if they are considering formula, to really educate themselves on how to prepare it properly, because it is important, like, how you prepare it. It's not just willy-nilly. I see videos of people just like dumping in these like heaping spoonfuls of formula, and you're just like, oh my God. I think knowledge is power all the time. That's why I think a breastfeeding course is amazing. I think colostrum collection before you give birth is like, it's like chef's kiss. It does so many things for us. Yeah. So a lot of providers will say after 37 weeks, it's safe to collect colostrum. We always want to check in with them first, because there are situations, obviously, where this is not for everybody. But check in with them, get the green light. And then after 37 weeks, you can do some hand expression, and you can actually collect colostrum because you're already producing it. Then you can bring it in syringes. And it kind of, I always say, like, even if you didn't need it, it's like an insurance policy that if you maybe did need it for whatever reason, it's there. It's handmade. It's tailored to your baby. It's ready to go. And then you don't have to worry, like, oh my God, my breast milk isn't in. I think I'm going to give formula because I don't know, right? So if you have that, it's kind of an insurance policy, but just be knowledgeable on why it's beneficial for your baby. What's really, really good to know is like the signs of your baby being well hydrated and getting enough milk. If you're comfortable enough knowing, like, these things are checking the boxes, I think we're doing okay. Or these things are not checking the boxes, we need to resort to something else because my baby needs to be fed. So I think just knowing the information and then sort of giving your brain a pass to be like, I need to do what's good for me and my family and my baby, and that's okay.
Yeah, and it's like you're saying, it's so individualized, right? Like everybody's
Totally.
that's why healthcare medicine is like it's we have these umbrella things, these guidelines, these
Hmm.
the science, this data, but at the end of the day, we are all
Yeah.
also human with like different, just everything's so different, right? So
Hmm.
I think the take home message for that is get the education. You're gonna
Yes.
give the benefits of the breastfeeding, but don't feel shameful if it's something that's not working.
100%.
Feed your baby, and that's
Yeah.
gonna be okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I tell people too, like if you need to supplement with formula, it doesn't mean
Hmm.
that your breastfeeding journey is over.
Hmm.
Like just because like it's not an all or none. Like it's not like something where you're like, I did it once, so I have to continue doing it forever. Like
Hmm.
if you need to do that because you feel like in your gut your baby's not getting enough, then do that. But at the same time, if you're going to give your baby some formula, make sure you still stimulate your breast so that you're
Hmm.
telling your body to continue with the process. And then once your breast milk kind of comes transitions a little bit more, I mean, then you're on the road, right? So
Yeah.
there's definitely ways to do it where it can be successful to do both. There's ways to
Hmm.
do it where it's successful just formula. There's ways to do it, yeah, where you're combo feeding. There's lots out there. So just find those really reputable sources
Hmm.
and have the info ahead of time. I would say we prepare so much for childbirth, but we don't necessarily prepare for postpartum and breastfeeding the
Hmm.
same way, which is funny because like the childbirth is like a very monumental drop in the bucket
You're
compared
like, oh my
to
god, yeah,
the
yeah.
scope of postpartum. So
Yeah. In your experience with when you're dealing with first time parents,
mhm.
first time moms, what are you seeing as like their biggest fear, or what are they spiraling around? Do you have something that kind of comes to your mind? Or is there a lot of
Yeah,
things?
pooping while they're pushing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. No one wants to poop in a room full of people. I get
Yeah.
it. I feel it. But
Yeah. But what can
yeah,
you do?
it's like I swear to you, it's one of the number one like freak out moments for
It
parents.
makes
Like,
sense. Like
is this gonna happen? And I'm just
yeah.
like, hey girl, if it happens, it happens. Like
Yeah.
I joined the club, like
Yeah.
So
Yeah. Like
I
always
think
just
they're worried about it. Rightfully, it's no one wants that, but I'm telling you guys, it's gonna be okay. It's gonna be
yeah.
okay. And
Yeah.
then the other one, that nobody wants to tear during childbirth. That's another
Mm. Oh
fear
yeah.
of
Ooh.
theirs. So yeah, I think those are two big ones with like giving birth, But I think again, things are changing in the birth world. And
Mhm.
I wish it was changing a little bit quicker, but I always say like we're starting to push the needle on birth culture where people are asking more really, really smart questions
Mhm.
and they're sort of taking a control of their own birth a little bit more. Whereas if we look at birth 40 years ago or like when I was born, it very, very different,
Mhm.
very patriarchal, very
Mhm.
much like what I
Mhm.
say is how it goes.
Mhm.
It's like women weren't even really a part of it, really, for some
Just
of it. We're
crazy. So
talking about it.
wild. Yeah.
The history of birth is not always pretty. So I
Mhm.
think we're slowly changing it, and I would love to still be around if I could see the needle push even farther because I think we have a long way to go, but I think we're
Always.
on our
Yeah.
way. And I do encourage people. Like people say, well, I can imagine too as a provider, it's probably annoying when you're trying trying to counsel your patient. And they're like, yeah, but on TikTok they said do this, and I'd be like, oh
Yeah,
God, on
like
TikTok,
rolling my
right?
eyes.
Yeah,
But some of those
totally,
points are, right,
totally.
a great point.
I agree, but
Yeah.
I think what people need to do is, like, take that info and then use it as a talking point with their
Mhm.
own personal provider,
And ask
because
questions.
your situation may not be well, is 100% not the same situation as whoever posted that, and
Mhm.
there is some info out there that can be quite harmful with n no repercussion on their end.
Mhm.
So, I can see how it'd be frustrating, but I'm kinda glad because I think it's really starting conversations, and I think conversations, especially in the birth world, are really, really important right now.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I agree. What's your take on? And again, when I ask these questions, it's not to. I'm never here to judge anybody again
Mhm.
for their choices. Like I can't speak to this. Again can't have children, so I'm not speaking to that. But like, what's your
You can
take
ask some of
on?
mine. I have too many, Colton. You can ask some
Yeah.
of mine.
I just want to know, like, what's your take on what people like home births versus going into the
Mhm,
hospital? Like,
mhm.
is that situation dependent? Is this something that like you are like, why are people doing this in 2025, or like, what do you think?
Here's what I will tell you.
Mhm.
I will tell you that I think anybody who works in the hospital system, I think that their viewpoint and their
Just know
opinions
too
on home
much.
birth are biased and skewed.
Okay.
Because in the hospital, we only see the bad outcomes of home
Okay.
birth. So we
Yeah,
only see
that's
it
right.
when it goes wrong and they hospital transfer and something happened.
Mhm.
So we think like, why would anybody want to do this? Like, I would never risk this. And personally, I would not, just because like I found even with like, for example, so we usually say births get easier with each baby, usually.
Mhm.
The caveat is that sometimes it doesn't. And with
Mhm.
my fourth, she was my smallest baby. She was an induction because she was small. And so you would think with a cervix that's been through birth 4 times, a body that's done it 4 times, and a small baby, this baby, I was like, oh, I'll start the induction at 8 and I'll have her by noon. It was like 10:30 at night by the time I
Mm.
had her. And
Wow.
because she wasn't positioned well. And it took a couple of interventions to get her out safely. And so in that example, for me, it was like, if I had said, oh, like, this is my fourth baby, she's small, we would probably just shoot her out at home and carry on with her day. Like, we would have run into trouble at home. So I always say it's interesting. So it's not for me personally, but I think that there are some really, really beautiful home births that happen. And I think it has a place for some people, but like, I'm not a proponent of free birth. So I think home birth and free birth are two things that are sort of starting to gain popularity.
What's the difference?
Free birth being like there's no medical personnel or midwife or anybody there.
People are doing that.
You just kind of do it and
really
hope for the best. Yeah.
So that's a thing.
So, yeah, it is.
Okay.
So that one I'm like a hard pass. Like I think it's just really unsafe for moms and babies. I think you really have to weigh it out and you have to figure out what you're looking for, because I think that I would say like birth trauma is on the rise. So it's like 1 in 3 people are reporting birth trauma. And so I think in these situations or like we've seen like just recently with our 2 Black moms that were basically like not listened to and ignored.
Yes. I was going to ask you this. Yes.
Yeah. Like these are reasons people are like, well, I sure as hell wouldn't go back to give birth again if that was my experience.
Yeah.
So I think unfortunately, in situations like that, we're pushing people who may not be a good candidate for a home birth into home birth. Or maybe they're not prepared for a home birth, but they're like, well, I'm certainly safer than that because that was awful. And like, I can't fault people for that. So I think the distrust of the system definitely is playing into it. I think social media is also playing into it. And again, that social media is like a double-edged sword where it'll give you great information. But again, if you're searching for something and you already have a bit of a bias, it'll then feed you things that confirm that bias.
Mm-hmm.
So if you search up like amazing home birth stories, social media will make it seem like every home birth is amazing. And if you search up, home birth complications, it's then going to serve you up all of the worst home births you've ever seen.
Yeah.
So I would say like, if you can talk to a provider who knows you and your body and your particular things that are happening in your pregnancy, I think it's always good to have that opinion before you make a choice between a home birth and a hospital birth. I also want people to know that there are things like birth centers that are minimal, low interventions. They're usually very close to a hospital. They have midwives that you give birth with. I want people to know too that you can give birth with a midwife in a hospital. So if you are like, I want the midwife experience, which is typically, I mean, not always, but typically less intervention. Typically it's an unmedicated birth. Not always. But if you want that experience, but you're nervous about being at home, there's also that option. So there's a bunch of options that I think people are not quite aware of. And so again, I just like gather all the info before you make any hard choices. But what we have been through to this point will always play a way in our decisions to move forward with something.
Yeah. I think like what you're saying from a medical standpoint, you're just you almost know too much, and if something goes wrong, you want to be somewhere where you have immediate help, because it's not only your life, it's also, the baby or however many babies you're having. It's, and so that's
and with birth too, like because we have seen like when things go wrong with birth, like it goes wrong like fast. And so I think that is where a lot of people who work in hospitals will usually go towards a hospital birth, because we've seen the big things that can happen. But I mean, when you sit back and think about it objectively, you're like, how often do those things happen versus a birth that is mostly uncomplicated? Like, so you're like, well, it's kind of like when I worked in the emergency department and I saw a lot of early losses and miscarriages, I was petrified when I got pregnant that I was going to have a even though, I mean, it's very common, but it's still not as common as having a baby and like having a baby and having it stay with you. But again, you see it and you see it and you see it. And so you're like, that's going to happen to me because you see it. Right. And so it's hard to like put that lens on and be like, this is not the rule. It's, so.
Speaking of the ED, how much does L&D get annoyed with the ED? Because I most of my nursing experience is in the ED, and I can I always just sense like a little bit of like rolling the eyes. You're annoying, like but it's like when pregnant people. I mean, if you've worked in the ER, you may know this, but when pregnant people would come into the ER, I'm like, this is the last place I want you to be. Please get away from us. Are you guys annoyed with the ED?
I'm gonna tell you a secret. When I worked in Emerge, anytime somebody pregnant came in, I ran to them. That's how I knew it was like time for me to go somewhere else.
So you weren't scared.
Else ran away, and I was like, "What's happening?" I'm like, "Help is on the way."
No, I ran away. Yeah.
Everybody runs away. And it's funny too, like when I worked in emergency, and I'll tell you the story, we had a precipitous birth. So somebody came in having a baby very quickly.
Yeah.
So we got her into a room and she like had the baby. And I mean, there's not much, we just basically put the baby on her chest. We like did blow by oxygen because we didn't know what else to do. We were like, yeah, oxygen sounds good. I don't know, right?
Yeah.
But we were all excited and the mom was
Yeah.
excited. The baby was crying and we were all, and then the labor and delivery team runs down. It's so funny. They were like, immediately they were like, what time was the baby born? And I was like,
Don't know.
about a minute ago. Like
Today.
the clock, I don't know.
Yeah.
And they're like, what were the APGARs? And I was like, what the hell's an APGAR? Like, I don't know. I said, the baby came out good. And
They're
now
alive. You're welcome.
it's
Yeah.
pink and yeah, right. It's pink and crying and mom's happy and I'm crying. And so it's so funny that every department has their own like sets of like the things that are most important to them. I saw it too in ICU, like when I would give report as an emergency room nurse versus when I took a patient as an ICU nurse. So I think it's funny because it's also the flip side. So now I see it in labor and delivery when emergency. So Emerge will bring us up a patient just because they're pregnant, but they'll have like a broken leg. And we'll be like,
No.
the baby doesn't have a broken leg. Like,
they're 15 weeks, but they broke their leg, so they're
right.
yours.
That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah, that's right. She's 35 weeks and yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll like clear her. We'll do an NST or something and we'll be like, okay. Off. One time somebody came up in like a full like neck collar on a spine board. And we're like, I feel as though we have lost the plot here. Like I think maybe the baby's good and you need to, So I think it's so everyone has their guidelines and that sort of thing. But yeah, we always get anybody who's pregnant, regardless of what they're there for. It's like, you're upstairs, go upstairs.
Yeah, go away.
So
I think it's because that's the fear of the ER is like, I do not want to deliver this baby here. Like I don't know what to do. I think is the fear.
Totally. And because I think too, it's that whole visual of like, just because you're pregnant, you're not sick. And so I think that's where a lot of people want to move away from a hospital birth because they're like, I'm not sick. Like I don't need to be in a hospital gown laying in a bed. Like I'm having a baby, which is a physiologically normal thing. And like when I would bring people to the ICU, I would be so nervous because they would ask me like 8 million questions about their, I don't know, what's their potassium? What's their, I don't know, their, what is it, CBR or their kidney function? I don't know what the shit they were asking me. And so I wanted to be like, well, they have a catheter to a urometer and they have a central line and they're on pressors. You're welcome.
Yeah.
Like, can you also look that information up? Because I could do it, but I was busy doing all the things. So I think it's so funny how every department has their own set of like things that they need to check their boxes on. Emerge is just like the gung show of everything. It's just
that's right.
Like,
but I mean, what you're saying, I think is such a good point because I think it is great to have perspective. And when you dabble in other specialties, like I've done some med surg, some ICU, ER, like you just understand a little bit better as to maybe why is med surg and the ICU nurse asking me as the ER nurse such annoying questions? Right. Like, because I mean, in actuality,
they need that info to continue their care plan. Whereas like labor and delivery, like they need that info to continue their care plan and like and see how the baby's doing. But for us, it was like we were just super excited and so it's interesting. And I do encourage people, like if you can, if you have it in you. Some people don't have it in them to experience other departments. I think some people are like, this is where I will die. Like I will never do anything else. But I always say, like, if you can do it, because it really does give you perspective. And like when you then work in ICU and you know what you're going to have to do for that patient, you know then why those questions are important to ask.
Yes. Whereas and you kind of know like maybe how to do a couple extra things to maybe make that nurse have an easier time receiving that patient and make them not so mad at you.
Totally. And so I would like look at those things before I brought them up because I was like, well, they're going to ask that. And I know now why they're asking that. They're not trying to be annoying. They're just trying to like get a picture of their very complicated patient who I am now bringing them. So yeah, it's interesting. If you can do it, because it's cool. If you can do other like healthcare systems, like I worked in Los Angeles, I worked in Australia. It's interesting to see sort of all of
Australia.
The things.
Did you live there?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I did a little travel conference. I went over there and then I realized quickly that I didn't actually want to work there. I just wanted to be on holiday there.
Oh, okay.
So yeah, then I just was like, okay, I'm good here. And then
how long were you there?
It was awesome.
How long were you there?
6 months, but I only worked I think for 3 because again I was like I don't want to. I just want to see all the things.
That's cool.
And I was like I was walking through Sydney like going on a transfer from one bus to another in my uniform all like grumpy, and then there was people, oh look at that, click, oh, and I was like God, I don't want to be here working. I love Australia. New
Yeah.
Zealand. Love New Zealand. Oh my God.
I've never been. Yeah, I've never
Oh,
been. It's on the
go.
list. Yeah,
Go.
I will for sure go.
We need a Nurse
Um,
Blake con in Australia that we can all go to.
oh, yes, please. I would
Call
go.
us.
Yeah, call us. I would go in a heartbeat.
Yeah.
Just a couple like last minute, just kind of like rapid
Mhm.
fire things. Just and these are also for my knowledge too, because I don't totally know exactly. But what is Pitocin? Why do we use it?
Yeah, this is again social media with Pitocin in the States, oxytocin in Canada. This is a medication that makes our uterus contract. So a lot of times, if somebody maybe their cervix is ready, but they're just not contracting. This can happen sometimes if you like break your water. Your cervix is nice and soft and stretchy, but the baby's not coming down on it. So we can start Pitocin to encourage those contractions, which will then bring baby down on the cervix, and then that pressure on the cervix causes your body to create its own oxytocin, and that's how you go through labor.
Mm.
The problem is that oxytocin or Pitocin, in my opinion, is often overused.
Okay.
Because we are in these hospital systems that have, maybe it's a really busy unit, maybe they're short staffed, maybe they have a doctor that's inducing for one reason or another. So sometimes we get kind of clogged up and there's a need to sort of move things forward more quickly. Or people are coming into the hospital earlier than maybe would be a better time to come in. And so because they're there for a long period of time with small amounts of change, we want to sort of move things along. So I have mixed thoughts on Pitocin. I know you're like rapid fire, and then you asked me about Pitocin, and now I'm like, let me tell you everything.
Going.
I feel like we need more studies on Pitocin because I really do, in my heart of hearts, think that there's a better way to use this drug. If we think about our body in natural labor, our body doesn't just produce oxytocin like this, like linear, right? It's like it spikes and it drops and it spikes and it drops, and that's how you get these surges of contractions. But then when we give people Pitocin, we're giving it to them on this linear fashion, right? So we're not really mimicking what's happening. And we've also found that, like, if you're giving somebody Pitocin and then you've made them contract and bring their baby down on their cervix and they're making change, like, can we then turn it off? Because now you have your body making contractions that's causing your own body to give your own contractions as that baby comes down. So I would love to see more studies on like almost bolusing of Pitocin. I'd love to see studies on like Pitocin breaks where you get to a certain point and then you stop it. I mean, in the human body, like the amount of Pitocin that they're finding in people's blood, like when they're in labor, it's not anywhere near what we are putting into their body on the IV. It's lower. So I would love to see more studies on how we could use this drug more effectively to maybe mimic labor better. But I do want people to know you can, as a patient, if you are not coping, if you feel like you're overcontracting, if you're just feeling uncomfortable, you can ask for that medication to be stopped. You can ask for that medication to be paused, where maybe you're not going to jump up to the next level just yet.
Like
maybe instead of every half an hour, you want to go an hour and see how you feel. So that's, I think, important information that not everyone knows because they don't feel like they can sort of dictate that, but you can. And if you want it turned off, you can turn it off.
Okay, love it. Thank you for the Pitocin lesson. Crash course on Pitocin. Oxytocin. Okay.
Woo, it's got a bad name in some circles.
What is a mucus plug?
Oh, a mucus plug is something, it's a collection of mucus that sits sort of at the entrance of the cervix. It's like, I call it like a bouncer to the cervix. The confusion is people think once they lose their mucus plug, it comes out like in their underwear or whatever, that labor is like immediately going to start. And what's interesting about it is that it can regenerate. So you can lose your mucus plug and it can mean absolutely nothing.
And so this thing just falls out. I'm like, I was imagining this thing just like shooting out like a...
Yeah, no, it's just sort of slides out. Like it just kind of, slops out, if you will.
Gross.
It's kind of, think about like a jello shooter and how you like suck it out of the, kind of like that. Just kind of.
Thank you. Okay.
Yeah, I always say two things. One, you can never lose your mucus plug and still have a baby. Spoiler alert, you're not going to stay pregnant forever, even if you don't ever see it. And the other one is that it doesn't necessarily mean that labor is coming tomorrow. Like it could mean absolutely nothing. Okay. I do say this though, if you are preterm under 37 weeks and you lose your mucus plug, I would love for you to tell your provider ASAP. Generally, it means that there are some micro changes happening in the cervix, a little bit of dilating that's kind of loosening things up. Doesn't mean that it's going to start labor, but if you're preterm, it's always a good thing to mention.
Okay. Love that. And then what is I was watching one of your videos, which this is something I didn't even really know about. And I think it was called, is it Bloody Show? Is that
yes.
What
yes.
What
Bloody
is that?
Show different from the mucus plug. So Bloody Show is something that we see. It's kind of one of the only times that bleeding in pregnancy and labor is normal. So any bright red bleeding vaginally in a pregnancy, like I want you to go get checked out ASAP. It's not a normal thing at all. bright like a period.
Mhm.
As your cervix changes, there's sort of these little micro tears that can happen as it's stretching and dilating and thinning. And so what will happen is blood will kind of mix in with the regular discharge that's happening during labor and the amniotic fluid. And so we'll see something called bloody show, basically meaning that we assume things are progressing based on what we're seeing. So it's a very normal sign
And
in
it's okay.
labor.
Okay. Mm.
If you are seeing it at home and you're feeling cramps, it probably means something is happening. And again,
Mhm.
anytime you're seeing anything in your underwear other than regular discharge before 37 weeks, please go to your provider. Like,
Mhm.
don't mess around with it, because people
Yeah.
will be like, oh no, it's nothing. It's just, I'm
Yeah.
just crampy. It's just discharge. And
Yeah.
then they're like, yeah,
In
9
labor.
centimeters dilated with a
Okay.
32-week baby.
All right. Good to know.
Mhm.
And then the last thing before I let you get off here, I've
I was
taken a
gonna
lot
say,
of your
you're not
time
gonna
today.
end the show on bloody show, are you? My God.
No. I actually wanted to end it on this because I didn't expect to watch this whole video on your YouTube channel. I just wanted to
Mm.
kind of like check it out, but I was laughing so hard. I was like, we have to talk about this. What is your take on? I have my own opinions on this. Again, who am I to have an opinion on these?
Oh
But
no, I love opinions.
what is your take on gender reveals? And
Ugh.
if anybody listening, please go watch Tina's YouTube channel. It's your handle's Mama Nurse Tina, right?
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
please go watch the video
Oh my God,
about
that
her
dog at
reacting
the
to
end that just
gender.
gets yeeted. Oh my God. I probably watched that clip like 85 times and peed my pants every time.
I was laughing so hard. I was literally watching this in a coffee shop this morning, just laughing. I'm like, oh my God, if anyone else is watching this, but it was funny, and
Oh my
the
God.
fails are funny. But what is
The
your
fails
take
are funny.
on gender reveals in general? You
Okay,
said you've
here's
done
my
some.
take.
You've done on your 4 kid. You did on
Yes.
2 and 2 you didn't.
I
Right?
did 2 gender reveals. I will gently tell people about gender disappointment because a lot of people feel a certain kind of way about it. I feel like it's a real thing.
Mhm.
So I did it with my first 2. Obviously, I had 2 boys. Really wanted a girl. More than just I wanted like to dress her up cute. Like, I have a phenomenal relationship with my mom. I really want that opportunity with a daughter, regardless. Side story. So I did it with the first 2. I knew with the third, if it came up boy, that I would be upset.
Mhm.
I knew that I would love him. I knew that I would still have him, but I
Mhm.
just knew that in that moment I would feel a certain kind of way. So we didn't do a gender reveal with our third because I was like, well, that would be awkward. And that's where I think people go wrong. I think people plan these gender reveals when they have a really, really strong incline to one gender over another.
Mhm.
If there's an opportunity that you may find out the gender of your baby and you're going to be upset about it, I personally wouldn't do a gender reveal, and I for sure as hell would not record the gender reveal and then post it on the internet. Like, can you imagine being like your son or daughter, like scrolling the interwebs when they're 15 and being like, oh, here's my dad punching out all of the gifts and my mom sobbing in the corner because I was a girl, not a boy.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
take those feelings, feel those feelings, but like they don't need to know that you feel those feelings
Yeah.
because you love them now, right? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, you love them then too, but
Yeah.
I feel like, yeah. Also, I find it funny when people are like, just a simple gender reveal, and then it's like
It's the whole
fireworks
thing.
and like a
Yeah.
plane overhead with like cloud of smoke, and you're like, oh my God.
I love the ones too of the like where the mother-in-law is just like going in
Oh,
for the hug first, and then the wife or the girlfriend is just like internally about to combust. Like terrible but hilarious to watch.
I mean, it's great as a bystander. That's how I feel. That's how I feel about all housewife shows and
Yeah.
intervention. I'm like, these are shows that I can watch
Yeah.
because it's not me
Yeah.
having the issue. Yeah. So yeah, Real
Yeah.
Housewives are just amazing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
that's why I watch them, because I'm like, this would never be me, but
Yeah.
it sure is fun to
But
watch.
this is entertaining. Yes.
Yeah, I
Yes.
feel like if you could do like a nice, simple, sweet gender reveal, and it's a lovely time. And like, there's some lovely ones, but man, it's getting wild. The stuff people are
It
doing.
is.
I'm
Yeah.
like, look at that. Everyone's so creative.
Yeah. It's funny. My hot take on gender
Tell
reveals.
me. I
And
love
again,
knowing.
this might be like too much like looking into it, and like it's probably not as big as this, but I think this is because of my own like growing up. Like I
Mhm,
didn't come out as gay until I was 24. Like
mhm.
I had a
Wow.
very hard time growing up with like, this is what boys do, this is what girls do.
Yes.
And so
Yep.
I feel like when you're doing a gender reveal and you're just like, you're immediately, before this child is even in the world, you're immediately slapping on them these
Yeah.
just like roles that they are going to
Mhm,
assume.
mhm.
And again, it's probably not that big, but
Mhm.
like I
No,
just, that's just how I feel about it, because I understand what that feels like to just be like
mhm.
growing up and you're like, this is what a man is supposed to do. And the whole time I'm
Right.
like, but I don't want to do that,
Yeah.
So
Not for me, it's not.
yeah, so that's my take on gender reveal. I just am like, you're
Yeah.
already putting these, oh, it's a boy, it's a girl, like me, like I'm
Mhm,
gonna buy them all these pink things and blue things. And
mhm.
again, I don't think it's out of a place of obviously like parents are
Malice, yeah.
excited,
Yeah.
but you're just like, oh, it's
Mhm.
blue, so it's a boy, and well, what
Yep.
if the boy wants to like pink?
Right, right. Yeah, or like it's like they're either a unicorn onesie or a tractor onesie. And I was
Yeah,
like, what if the little girl likes tractors? Or the
yeah,
little boy's
yeah,
like, fuck your tractor.
yeah. But that's like that's a whole bigger issue. Obviously,
Give me
like
the
these are,
unicorn all day,
yeah,
please.
yeah, right. Like if
It's
I had
interesting.
kids, yeah, that's
I
what I would
wonder if we'll
do.
see it change, like if we'll
Yeah,
see things shift.
yeah,
Or if we
yeah.
just have a celebration, of a pregnancy which we do. I mean,
Right.
it's a baby shower.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
we did it, and I was just like, meh. Like it's
yeah,
by no means did it make it like this monumental moment in our pregnancy, like one
yeah.
way or another. Yeah, I think it's just people need an excuse to have a good time. I don't know.
I get it. My mom actually didn't. She didn't know until we were born. She just wanted to.
Wow.
Yeah, she just wanted to know when we were
Yeah.
born.
I do love a surprise baby. I call it like yeah, I'm always like, yeah. So and what I really love about a surprise baby is when the dad or the partner announces the gender of the baby when they come out. It's like I'm always like, everyone
Yeah,
shh,
yeah,
quiet, listen.
yeah.
Right. And then they're always nervous that they're gonna mess it up. Like every time they're like,
In the
I'm
video,
like, no,
that
I'll
guy
make it
did.
like really obvious. Like you will not mess this up. Anyway, I have not had a dad
Yeah,
mess it up, but
yeah. Oh,
yeah,
so sweet. I
it's
love it.
super special.
Yeah,
It's and I have to say, like, it's if somebody is really leaning towards one gender and then that's the one that comes out and they're
they're
just
just like
sobbing,
so happy. Yeah.
it's
Oh,
really it's a really cool room to be in. So I mean,
yeah,
I could never because I'm a planner and
yeah. You're like, I
also
need to
I
know.
for the same reason too. Like I didn't want to be like hoping for one gender. I had another gender and I didn't want to feel even like a second of like not quite rightness about it in that
Mm-hmm.
moment. So I was like, I would rather process outside of it. And then when my third boy came out, I was like, I was sobbing because I was just like, I just loved him. And I just was
Hmm.
like, I was so relieved that he was here
Yeah,
and happy and healthy.
yeah,
So I'm glad that like I processed then. And so I could never
yeah.
be a,
That makes
but
sense.
yeah, some
Yeah,
people come
yeah,
in with like 8 boys and they're pregnant with their 9th and they're like, it's a surprise. And I was like, I could never. But yeah, I mean, it's fun.
yeah,
I like it.
yeah,
That's birth is always
yeah.
fun though.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, thank you so much, Tina.
Hmm.
For any parting words, like I said, everybody can find Tina at Mama
Hmm.
Nurse Tina on all the socials. She's
Hmm.
always posting. It's great content. It's educational. It's funny. Love it.
Goodness,
Any
my head has just grown 3
she's
sizes.
good. Funny on. She's even a comedian. Like my goodness. Any parting words?
No, I think just keep learning. Like
Mm,
everyone just needs to keep learning and sort of keep a positive lens on things. And I think for birth particularly, I think the more information that you can prep with, the better. And again, a reminder to just take what you hear and see and read.
mhm.
Don't take anyone's word for it. Take that information to your specific provider. They are great conversation starters, and you can really keep that dialogue going with them. And then you can find sort of the things that are going to make your birth what is special for you.
Mhm. Amazing. Well, thank you so much, Tina. We
Yeah, thanks
appreciate
for
you.
having me.
Thanks for stopping by, Club Nurse.
Oh, amazing.
From the bottom of my heart, I wanted to thank you for being here at Club Nurse. I hope you gained something valuable from today's episode. And if you did, remember to share this episode with someone that you love. Follow me on socials at Nurse Daddies or Colton Lord 17. And be sure to follow Nurse.org to stay informed with all of the hottest healthcare topics. Until next time, take care of yourself the way you take care of everyone else. Love ya. Bye.